Hi, welcome to the third video of Agile Product Journey. In this video, we will look at business strategy models, what's the discovery phase, what is value, and how do we do a product visioning. So, business strategy models are a one-pager view of describing or visualizing your entire business strategy, or you could say putting together the different components of your business or your product. So they can be called as strategic templates, or they can be called as a one-pager view of what you're trying to do. It could also be called as a mission statement. So the most common ones that are used are business model canvas, value proposition canvas. Let's look at them one by one. So we've taken an example of business model canvas for Uber, and right. So if you look at this template, it has 9 components. And the way I would like to read it is I would want to start with my customers. So who are my customers? So for Uber, my customers are passengers and drivers. Customer relationship is how your customers interact with your business. How are they involved? So it could be manual, it could be, in person, and it is just how they are involved. So for Uber, it's highly automated. Value proposition is something that you promise your customer in terms of value or experience. It's not the product itself, it's the benefit out of it. So for Uber, taxi on demand, cash free travel. For drivers, it could be passengers on demand, it could be ways to make additional money. And of course, these are just an examples. You can obviously list more items here. Channels are nothing but how you will reach out to the customers. So mobile apps, social media marketing, you could put physical ads, banners on the roads, and things like that. The next is key partners. So key partners are the people who are involved in your business. You can look at them as more of a third party people or vendors, or people who are outside. These are not systems or tools, these are people. So for Uber, drivers who own cars, they are the key partners. The people who provide payment solutions, people who provide mapping data, people who provide permissions, as in local authorities. Key activities is what you do to make your business or product successful. So you develop an algorithm, you make a platform, you do marketing, you do driver onboarding. That's your key activities. Key resources are what you need in terms of tools or systems or things to make this happen. So Uber, you need a platform, you need a pricing algorithm, you need a routing algorithm to take the most convenient way out of a busy day, maybe. And the last two and most important thing, your cost structure and your revenue streams. So cost structures are nothing but what you spend in terms of resources and money to make your business happen. Revenue streams is where you earn your revenue or start making profit by. So these are the different options where you can start looking towards making profits or earning your revenue. So business model canvas is mostly, or you can look at it as a problem solution driven approach, whereas the value proposition canvas is a focused approach towards, again, putting your business or product plan on a page. It's very much focused towards what your customers need. So on the left hand side, you see there are your products or services. You have game creators. Game creators are what you provide to your customers, which will elevate their experience. Pain relievers are the necessary features or options, or the functionalities that is the primary need of your product or service. On the right hand side, you have customers who have certain tasks or jobs to be done. They have gains. There are gains that they want to get out of your product, and there are pains that they want to get rid of. So that's how you can do one-to-one mapping between what your customers want and what you're trying to offer, and see if you are doing it the right way. We have put up one more example here. It's called a product strategy canvas. Now, this is something that you can go and read on the board or maybe Google, but it's also one of the alternate ways of looking at your looking at your product or business.
By now we've understood what value is and what value proposition is. Let's understand how is it delivered and how do we measure value. It's very important to measure value to know if you're moving in the right direction. And it's very, very difficult to quantify what value is. Let's understand this with an example. So say you've been doing some activity, writing a code or testing something, and that's the activity. So doing more of an activity and delivering an output, which could be a feature for which you're writing that code, does not necessarily lead to an improved outcome, which is the customer experience in our case. So working on an activity which leads to an output does not necessarily equate to an outcome which is a better value. And to do this, we need to use the right set of metric. We'll look at those, but a few key value measures actually indicate whether the value that we're delivering is in the right direction or not. Before we look at these key value measures, let's understand who delivers value. So it's everyone's responsibility in the team to deliver value, and the only way to do it is to release the work that you've been doing. So you know where you want to reach, but to know whether you're on the right track or not, you need to release your work. Only when the real users use your work, they'll be able to tell you whether the outcome for them or the experience for them is positive, whether the organization will be able to tell you whether it is creating an impact or rather a positive impact. So let's say you have an idea, you build something. Only when you release it and people use it, you'll be able to validate or you'll be able to test whether it is delivering the value that you had thought of. And based on whatever you've learned, it again could feedback into your work and the cycle repeats. And this exactly is how you take your vision and convert into value. So these small bits of value will actually take you to the North Star that we were speaking of. And again, here are a few measures through which you should be able to gauge whether you're delivering value or not. If I have to give a quick example, a market share. So if you look at the percentage of market share, you're not controlling right now. And the reasons for those, you'll be able to understand, what are the potential things you could do, what are the things you could do better to meet your customer needs. So this definitely is one measure. One of the reasons why you might not have a big market share is the newness that you have in your products or features. So that's essentially what leads us to an innovation rate. So this is percentage of the time that you spent or the budget that you spent on working on something new versus maintaining the existing features or products that you have. And if you look like all the big organizations like Google, Apple, or even Amazon, they really spend a lot of time not just maintaining, but also looking at what are the new things that the customer might need. So these key value measures are actually a part of evidence-based management. It's available on scrum.org. This could be a series in itself, but for now, we're just covering an aspect of EBMs where it tells you that, hey, to measure value, you do have something available. And this is just one of the things, by the way. There are many ways through which you can measure it. We'll be leaving the links to evidence-based management in the video description, and also we'll provide these links on the Miro board.
Now let's talk about discovery phase. So when you're trying to build a product, you are either in the problem space or you are in the solution space. When I say problem space, you're mostly doing your alignment, your research. In the solution space, you're mostly doing ideation, creation, validation, refinement of the product. So discovery is all about building the right thing versus building the thing right. You want to spend as much time possible to ensure that the problem that you are solving is worth solving. You've done some kind of a validation of your hypothesis that the problem statement that you have is an actual need and it's not just a wish list or feature. So discovery is one of the phases in your agile product development, wherein you do user surveys, you do focus research, uh, and things like that to know that your problem statement has a need, the solution that you're trying to provide might be useful, and you also try to identify the target audience or get to narrow down your audience to people who might actually get benefit out of your product. So when you it's an iterative process. It's not just done only once. Maybe in the start you want to spend some more time on it, and as you go on, you can increase or decrease the time that you are spending on it. But it's always iterative. It's not a one-time thing. So who participates in a discovery phase? It could be your potential users or people you've identified for surveys or researches. It could be your UX on your team. It could be the dev team as well, and sometimes it could also be people like uh, your architects or maybe C-level people who act as a supporter. How do you do a discovery? You do user surveys, you do researches, you bring out analytics. So there are many options of doing that. The key thing to note here is that when you walk out of a discovery, you have validated the problem statement, or you have a defined problem statement. You have a solution that you're trying to build. So you know what is that you're trying to build. You know or you have narrowed down your target audience, and you also have some key differentiators identified which your users currently don't have or which they want to get out of using your product. So that's what discovery is. It could be a separate video series on its own. It's a very detailed concept, but just to map it to the agile product journey, it's important to take a quick. It was important to take a quick look at it.
Okay, so product vision. We've looked at product vision already, but let's do a quick summary. It's the essence of the product. It gives you the big picture and helps build a shared understanding of what your product is. We look at two techniques here. There are many available, but we'll cover one. We'll do one together, and the other one I'll just quickly explain. Elevator pitch is the simplest way of doing a product vision. It's a simple template which in a very, very short time helps you summarize what your product is. And product in a box is a fun way. It's a quick activity that you can do in collaboration with your customers, which collectively helps you gather their collective experience of what a product should look like. So let's understand this with a quick example. Imagine you walk into an aisle of a shopping mall. You see all type of boxes there, very colorful, very attractive. Uh, they really call out a lot of things. How is it that you can become more smarter, more sleeker, more happier? And eventually looking at those boxes, their description, they make place in your shelves in your house instead of the shopping mall. So here I'm not going to call this as a template, but here's a quick example of Kellogg Special K, which says it helps in weight loss. So this is the front, this is the back. It calls out a lot of things like who they are, what their USPs are, uh, what are they trying to do, and what are their top features or who the customers would be. So that's all about product in a box. Now let's look at the elevator pitch. So the elevator pitch, imagine you meet someone who has a very, very limited time, and you need to convince that person about your product in the available time. So this is the shortest way in which you can summarize literally everything from your product, like who the target customers are, what is it that they need, what your product name is, what category does it belong to, what is the uniqueness of your product, what's the key benefit, who your competitors are if they exist, and how is it that you are differentiated from your customers. So Ankit, can you help me with writing one for a product?
Okay, and what would be the product that we're trying to take here as an example?
Let's do it for a cab service. That's the quickest thing that I can remember. And I think it's also relatable to a lot of people.
Okay, okay.
Let's start with,
So
so who is this product for?
so cab service, I would say working professionals in urban cities.
Okay, so this is for working. So the next thing is what is their need? And I think we've covered this in urban cities, right?
So the need, I would say, is it's maybe it would be for people who want to get to office or have other commuting needs.
People who have other commuting needs.
Or want to get to office.
So again, this is a first attempt, and once you do a draft, it's always nice to go back, refine a few words, polish it, shorten the sentences. But this is our first go, so that's absolutely fine. What do you want to call your product? And I'm just going to minimize this so you can refer to the template above as well and read the handy hints which have been provided. What
I
do you?
would call it Uber.
Okay, that's a very unique name, I must say. So Uber is, what category does it belong to, Ankit?
It's a cab service
Okay, is a cab service that,
that that allows people to book on-demand cabs.
shall I just say customers? Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
I really need to work on my spellings. That allows customer to book on
On-demand.
demand cabs. Do you have any competitors?
I would call the taxis or the local taxis as the competition. So
Okay,
you can say unlike taxis.
okay. Shall I just also mention the word local because taxi kind of becomes,
Yeah.
yeah, generic. So compared to the local taxi, what is it that you're doing differently for your customers?
I would say our product is fast, has GPS navigation.
Yes, GPS navigation. I think that also makes it very safe for people who are
Yes.
traveling alone or late, right? Okay. Should I just
So
say
it's
it's
safe.
safe
Yeah. And it also has credit card payment options.
and has, I'm just going to say online. That will cover a lot other things like wallets or other type of cards.
Cool.
Okay, let's read this once again. So are we missing anything? We have the for, we have who, We have the name, we have the service, and then we have the USP, we have the competitor, and what differentiates us. Okay, so let's read this once. So our product is Uber, and we are here for working professionals in urban cities who have other commuting needs or want to go to office. Uber is a cab service that allows customer to book on demand cabs. And unlike local taxis, our product is fast, has GPS navigation, it's safe, and also has online payment options.
Okay, I am sold.
Okay.
I
Okay.
would use Uber.
Oh, I wish all my sponsors were as kind as you, Ankit. But yes, that's quickly how you can impress your stakeholders or your sponsors. You just need to use this template, ask these questions, and you automatically have a very beautiful statement, which you can call as your product vision.
Right.
Okay, cool. That's pretty much it, people. In the next video, what we will look at is what an inception is, what user journeys are, what personas are, how can you build empathy maps, and what goals do your users have. So that's pretty much from us in this one. Thank you and keep watching.